One of the things that lets the Nintendo Switch down is the left Joy-Con and its lack of a proper D-pad. This was an intentional design choice so that two people could use the Joy-Cons when they were out and about. But let's be honest, who's actually going to do this? If you can safely say that you have no intention of doing this, then it might be time to consider picking up a Joy-Con that has a D-pad on it. And there are two ways that you can go about this. The first way is by getting a shell, taking apart the Joy-Con where you risk breaking it and adding the D-pad on, or getting one of these Hori D-pad Joy-Cons.
The Hori D-pad controller is, for the most part, the Joy-Con you originally would have wanted to come packed with your console. The D-pad is far superior to the 4 separate buttons on the original Joy-Con. I've been using this Hori Joy-Con for a few weeks now, spending the majority of my time playing Puyo Puyo Tetris. I have no doubt that the Hori Joy-Con is superior to the stock one when playing almost any D-pad heavy game. For people who play fighting games regularly on the Switch, specifically in handheld mode, you'd be mental not to at least consider buying one of these.
That being said, it's not the best D-pad that we've ever used, as it feels both hard and mushy at the same time. Had Hori taken inspiration from the PlayStation Vita or even the DSi, the clicky D-pad would have been considerably better than this one. For us, the gold standard is easily the Sega Saturn controller, which has a large but incredibly precise D-pad. There was actually a guy who modded his Joy-Con to feature this exact same D-pad, but let's be honest, no one else is actually going to bother to do that. As you can see from the packaging, there are a number of downsides from using Hori's Joy-Con, with the biggest omission being a lack of wireless capabilities, meaning that you cannot use the Joy-Con unless it's directly connected to the Switch. You also lose motion controls, which isn't a particularly big deal outside of handheld mode, but you also lose HD rumble, which feels like a far greater loss overall. There is a way to retain a nice D-pad without losing these features, but that will involve you having to purchase a shell and then actually have the skills to swap all of the innards out without breaking anything. Losing the ability to use the Joy-Con wirelessly isn't as much of an issue when you're sharing them, but it does become a problem if you want to use the Joy-Con grip. For those who don't want to shell out £55 on a Pro controller, using the grip is the only real comfortable way to use your Switch while using it on the TV. It's not like you've thrown away your old Joy-Con, you can still use it. It just seems like a bit of a waste having one with a D-pad that doesn't work wirelessly.
Despite the low price of 20 quid, we wouldn't recommend buying one of these Hori Joy-Cons unless you only ever use your Switch in handheld mode. The D-pad on the Hori Joy-Con is great and it will be missed, but we think spending the time to alter the original Joy-Con is the better decision overall. It costs roughly the same amount of money to order one of these D-pad shells plus the tools to get the job done. Yes, there are risks involved when performing the shell swap, however, having full functionality of the Joy-Con alongside a good D-pad outweighs the convenience of the Hori Joy-Con. If you're that interested in having a D-pad for your Switch that you've reached the end of this video, you're most likely more than capable of swapping the Joy-Con shells.
Thanks so much for checking out our video. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to our channel. It really does help us. If you have any questions or comments, please remember to leave them in the section below, and we'll see you in our next video or stream.